In 2007, my mum introduced me to the church in Mauritius. I went there for a few months because our life was really stuck back there in Mauritius, the whole family. I was in the UK, then I went to Mauritius for six months. I couldn't come back. So I started going to church, then a way came for me to be able to come back to the UK. And I started to attend the Plaster branch. Because of getting busy and not really knowing where I was going with my faith, I left the church just a few months, if not less, after getting the work permit, and I started going to practice other religions. After that, my dad was also struggling with his personal life, we had a broken family. I come from a broken family, since I've never been in a family with mom and dad. But sadly, my dad, out of all this pressure, committed suicide in May 2012. And it was really hard because 2 days before I spoke to him, before he died, and I never had any doubt that this was going to happen. And I thought that was going to be, the end of my world. I went there 2 weeks after I lost my dad. I came back to UK. I also lost my job. So I fell into depression, and I started drinking and smoking and whatnot, yeah. October last year, October 2013, I was still having problems to deal with the loss of my dad, and my business was still stuck, and my finances were stuck. But my mom played a song on the laptop on a Thursday afternoon. It was like a wake-up call again, second time. So I said, you know what, should we go? Should we go? Let me just take you to the Finsbury Park branch. You haven't seen it, it's beautiful. So we went there that Thursday. Since then, we haven't stopped. And from there, I've received one prayer. I stopped smoking, I stopped drinking, and my life started to change. And that was just the beginning of a life-changing experience for me. Even though I did sacrifice in the past, my real experience with sacrifice and having a relationship with God was in the campaign of Israel last December 2013. Because at that time I understood that even though I'm sacrificing, I needed to have a relationship with God. So I was in a better place to understand that and practice it than I was before. So I went in with all my strength and everything I could. I baked cake and sold to get some money. I sold all my clothes, all my favorite shoes, everything. And like games that I had and jewelries, to make sure I could give it my all and really do it properly. So I put everything, was around, can't remember exactly, around £4,000, and I gave it my all. My personal relationship with God has changed. Myself, within myself, I have changed. I feel more peace inside. I'm more happy. I don't need a reason to be happy. I just wake up and I'm happy. And that's something I haven't felt for years, especially when I lost my dad. I was in a house where we had 2.5 rooms. We had 2 rooms and a box room. I had a lodger in one of the rooms to help me maintain the bills. I had Nick in the little room, and I had to share a bedroom with my mom, a bed with my mom. And straight after doing the sacrifice, the landlord there gave me notice 3 months to move out of the house. And I don't know if I mentioned, but I was also using my lounge downstairs as my office for my business. So we were really, really packed in the house. And we found a house which is bigger for just £100 more, and it's like double the size of the house we were. And everyone has a room. We've got loads of spare rooms as well, and I've got a separate office now. I now have got a training center on top of my care agency. I've got people that are enrolled to do health and social care courses. Now that I've seen what God can do in my life, in all areas of my life, I'm not satisfied. I want to see more. My financial life is definitely better, but is not yet where I want it to be. I know that the God I serve can do much more than that, and I want to see more. I want to get more, and the vision would be to have more branches of the care agency around UK and maybe even abroad, training centers as well around the UK and maybe abroad also. Well, for me, the sacrifice was a good eye-opener because it has taught me to really rely on God. Whereas now I know clearly that if I have, it's like a husband. I have a relationship with him. I totally depend on him, and he doesn't let me down. If I am faithful to him, he is also faithful to me. He actually does even more than I deserve.
Hello, a very good evening. Welcome to Finding Answers. This is the beginning of a brand new week. It's Monday. I have a glass here in my hand and I want to show you something. In a minute, I'm going to give you an example of how many people feel that their lives are. Many times, something happens that you believe damages your life beyond repair. Some people don't believe that the problems that have caused such havoc, such torment to their lives can never be solved. And so, just like this, they feel that their lives can't be fixed anymore. And they feel it's shattered beyond repair. That's why sometimes you ask people, do you believe that things can get better? Do you believe that your life can change? And sometimes people say no. And it's sad to hear someone say that, because as long as you're alive, there should be hope. As long as you're breathing and you have strength to wake up in the morning and stand up, you shouldn't lose hope. Because this glass here, I guarantee you that can't be fixed anymore. But your life is not a glass. Your life is not an object. And as long as you're alive, you can move on. Sure, you may be left with some scars. You may be left with, but scars are like this. They no longer hurt, but remind you of what you've been through. I have scars, and every time I look at those scars, they don't hurt me, but I remember what happened to me, and they make me stronger because I've overcome that moment that I got that scar. And that's how life is. You cannot give up on life because something terrible happened to you. You can't give up on friendship, for example, because one of your friends betrayed you. Doesn't mean all of your friends are going to betray you. You can't give up on relationships because one person that you trusted betrayed you. I hear a lot of women say, men are all the same. Or then you hear men say, women are all the same. And is that true? Of course not. So why should you say that you are never going to have a relationship that works just because you had one or two or even three that didn't work? Why should you do that? Why should you compare your life to this broken glass? Because you are not an object. You are an ever-improving person. We are always improving, right? For example, every night when we come here, I have Esther here with me. Good evening, Esther. How are you?
Good evening, I'm well, thank you.
And for example, the first time that I ever did a TV program, I'm not a TV presenter, right? I'm a pastor, but I come here to try to help those who are watching us. Surely the first time that I did a program, I wasn't very good at it. Certainly today, still not very good at it, but I'm trying my best to help you, but I'm sure I got a little bit better. And that's the idea in life. You make a mistake, right? But then you learn how to do things better. You learn from your mistakes. In no way is a person's life shattered like this glass. It can't be. That can't be the reality.
No, you can always pick up the pieces.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your presenting's very good, Pastor.
Thank you.
It is your second job. It's very good. Yeah, exactly. What is our life's purpose? That's what we're talking about today. And people get so caught up in, I must be something amazing or brilliant or great.
Mm-hmm.
And really, our job is to make sure we have joy and love and maybe look at the finer details of our lives and enjoy the moment,
And I believe, Esther, and I've heard a lot of people say that they say, I was born to suffer. I have so many problems, I was born to suffer. I don't believe anyone was born to suffer. That can't be. If someone believes and accepts that, then it's like they're dead while being alive. That can't be something that they can believe in, right?
Yeah, it's a terrible thing to say. This life is not here to torture us, I'm sure of it. I think a lot of people are living proof of that. Yeah, we're not here to suffer.
And of course, we have challenges, right? We have problems. Yeah. But problems make us stronger. But I want to say to you that if you are right now broken, you feel broken, not that you are. Maybe you feel broken like this glass. You are not broken. Maybe you are scarred. Maybe you have an open wound. Maybe something's not right. Maybe, like the topic of tonight's program, the question is, what is life's purpose? And maybe you think, look, I think my purpose in life is really to suffer because my life is a mess. Right now is a mess. But if your life is a mess right now, it doesn't have to be a mess tomorrow. If your life is a mess now, you can fix it. That's why the Bible compares us to clay and God a potter. Isn't that beautiful? Because the clay, you know, I don't know if you've ever worked with clay, but no matter how messed up the clay gets, you can always add more water, pack it up. Have you worked with clay before, Esther?
Yeah, it's lovely. Putty.
Yes.
It's lovely.
No matter how much you mess up, you can always add more water and start from the beginning.
Yeah. I've ended up with all kinds of pots and pans, but yeah, it's pretty good.
But life is like that, right? You mess up, you make a mistake. Sometimes it seems like you've messed up beyond repair, but you just add a little bit of water and you can start from scratch.
Well, this is like redemption as well, because we spoke to people in the park last week about can you ever redeem yourself? It's a similar subject because a lot of people said sometimes you can do something so bad that you can't come back. You can't come back from it. And I guess like the broken glass, you're trying to say you can pick up those pieces again, so that's good.
That's it. If you are watching me now and you say, James, I feel very much like this broken glass. I don't know if my life can ever be put back together. I don't know if that can happen. Perhaps you don't know if your family can be put back together. Maybe you say, James, I don't know if I have a future. Right now my future looks very much broken like this. In fact, last week we had someone here speaking about his life transformation, and he said, look, because of an addiction to gambling, his life suffered a lot because of that. And maybe you're watching me now, you have an addiction. You're struggling with an addiction. You feel broken because of this addiction. But remember I said to you that when you work with clay, if things are wrong, just add a little bit of water and you start from scratch. God is this water. Don't we bless the water in every program? He is the water that can fix your life, that can put your life back together. So if you are going through problems right now, if you do feel like your life is broken, shattered like this glass, completely broken like this glass, but you believe that God can fix that broken life. Maybe you say, James, I'm not much of a prayer person, I'm not much of a God person, but I believe that something can happen. I believe in something positive. I believe that I wasn't born, I wasn't put on this earth to suffer like this, and I just need guidance. Then I believe God can give you this guidance. If you believe you weren't born to suffer and you want to speak to someone who will pray for you, who will help you, then feel free to call our helpline, our prayer line throughout this program. The number is 020-7686-6300, 020-7686-6300, or you can send us an email. Esther will be reading here the emails. What's the email address, Esther?
Email address is, as always, help@findinganswers.tv.
That's right. So feel free to contact us during the show, no matter how broken you feel your life is, because I guarantee you, for God, there is no hopeless situation. We're going to go into a break right now. When we come back, we'll be speaking about the topic of today. What is life's purpose? We'll be right back. If God can hold all the waters of the ocean in the palm of His hands, imagine the problem of the person.
You can't say that your problem is bigger than these waters, than the ocean.
No matter how big a building is, a monument is, from where we're standing, it looks tiny.
What God wants to do is to raise you up. As you can see, the sun is setting behind us. And maybe in the same way, your life is going down. Maybe in the same way, happiness is going down.
Even if the sun goes down now, tomorrow, it's guaranteed that whether you see the clouds or something's blocking the sun, but the sun will be there.
Hello there and welcome back to Finding Answers. Now, we've got a little clip here from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a movie by Douglas Adams. So let's have a look at this.
Many millions of years ago, a race of hyper-intelligent, pan-dimensional beings got so fed up with the constant bickering about the meaning of life that they commissioned two of their brightest and best to design and build a stupendous supercomputer to calculate the answer to life, the universe, and everything.
Oh, deep thought. We want you to tell us the answer.
The answer to what?
The answer to life, the universe, everything. We'd really like an answer. Something simple.
I have to think about that.
So that's just a little clip demonstrating about the meaning of life and who's got the answer. We're just going to talk about some celebrities that have started off in one career and ended up in something quite different. This can show that people's life purpose does change. We've got Harrison Ford, who started off as a carpenter on set, and then of course he went on to do Indiana Jones and Star Wars, etc., etc. So maybe he got his life purpose wrong in the start, or maybe he just moved jobs. Also, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was the governor of LA. So he took a very big change in his life purpose as well. So just to show you it can happen, and things can change in your life. You're not stuck. So yeah, back to you, Pastor.
But sometimes there are people who are afraid of making that change, right? Because changing, especially if you change career, if you feel that your life purpose is different, it can be quite daunting. If you've done something all your life that is safe and you're going to change to something that it may be quite not as safe, it's challenging.
Yeah, it's whether you take the risk or not. And I think in the case of Harrison Ford, it was definitely more fun to be I don't know, I'm guessing it's more fun to be an actor than a carpenter.
Maybe he was a better carpenter than he was an actor. We'll never know, right? Well, but the thing is this, you have a vision of what you want to do. You have an idea of what your life's purpose is. And maybe you are very far from that. And of course, to change this, it takes courage. And sometimes you need to take that step. And God can be that bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Actually, the campaign of Israel, the greatest of all campaigns that we have been talking about the past few weeks here, has been that bridge. Now, before I introduce to you the testimony, the person who's here with us tonight, let me just tell you about what's going to happen here on Wednesday. This Wednesday, we will have 3 people, 3 real-life stories here on the show with us, and they'll be sharing their story, their experience, how they overcame spiritual attacks. Now, please bear in mind that they will be describing in graphic detail what happened to them. Some viewers may find it, I wouldn't say disturbing, but very difficult to hear what they went through, while others will find it extremely helpful, because if you are going through the same thing, there is no doubt that there is help for you. What are spiritual attacks? You that feel that there is a force with you wherever you go, in your bedroom, at work. You that feel that something, not just a presence, but you feel someone there, you feel something touching you. You that suffer with constant, daily nightmares, and even worse, some people, the nightmares they have sometimes even come to pass. You that you hear voices, and you're afraid of telling people this because you're afraid that they might think you're mad. Because it's not something normal to have happen to you, right? But by the power of faith, it is possible for you to be free from this. So you that think you suffer with spiritual attacks, any kind of spiritual problems, this Wednesday on Finding Answers, we're going to have a very, very special program dedicated just to you. And even if you don't have, but you want to watch and see how these people were free, I believe you'll benefit from that as well. Let's now get ready to meet our guest for tonight, Monsurat.
Pushing me for the rest of the week, so it's like a boost.
Things were really tight.
Today, the way I see myself is completely different.
Now, I want to introduce you to Monsurat. How are you, Monsurat?
I'm fine, thank you, Pastor.
You okay?
Yeah.
Before you came to church, before you started to learn to use your faith, I know you went through a lot of problems. Where did it all start for you?
I came from a Muslim background, so when I came to the church,
I didn't have that knowledge about Jesus, but I knew that I needed to know him. Do you understand? Before coming to the church, I went to other churches, but I had that desire inside of me to know who God was. So, and obviously my life wasn't great when I came to the church.
What kind of problems did you go through?
Initially, I was like, there was all of a sudden, I lost my dad because he brought me here to study, and he promised that he would be here every year to come and look out for me. But then the following year, he died at a young age. He was only 50. So that was like a big problem, big disappointment, really, because...
Were you close to him?
Not really, but he provided for us, and we really depended on him. So it was like a big shock to the family because he was only young as well. So that was that. And I was here by myself in England trying to study as well. And my mom, my siblings were back home. So I felt alone as well. And I went to university, got into a relationship, became pregnant for the person. And he said he didn't want the child, so I had to abort the child. And yeah, that was my life really. And eventually I got married, but the marriage was not planned. What it was I was in a relationship with him, and then later on I found out that he had a problem with his immigration. And I was like, we're in a relationship anyway, we might as well just get married to help him sort his problem out. But I wasn't really happy.
So that relationship wasn't happy already, like you said, but he sort of needed help.
Yeah.
And since you were together with him, you got married anyway, right?
Yeah.
Did that bring you any closer? Did that solve the problems you had?
No, because then I wasn't happy, and I was thinking if I have a child, it will make it better. So I got pregnant, I had a child, a daughter, but it wasn't. So I eventually started committing adultery, which was something that I never
No
done.
way, Monsurat. You, Monsurat. I'm saying this because I've known you for many years, right? But I mean, that's something that usually when you talk about adultery, you associate that with men, right? What led you to do that? I mean, why didn't you just call off the wedding and say, it's not working? Why did you stay in the marriage and commit adultery?
What I'll say is like, from my experience, you don't plan to commit an adultery. What happened was the person that introduced us together died. And obviously with all that emotion, that sadness, because she also died at a young age, you know, my husband wasn't really there then. So then there was this person that was a mutual friend to this person as well. So we were talking, like, you know, sharing the pain and everything. And before we know it, something led to another, because he had a problem in his marriage and I had a problem in my marriage. And you know the things that your husband doesn't say to you, like, oh, you know, care for you, ask about your feelings. This person was asking me, and then before you know it, you're doing that. Yeah.
How long did that go on for?
It went on for months, and then eventually...
Did you feel, what did you feel? Did you feel guilty? Did you feel you shouldn't be doing that?
Initially, yeah, but then as it went on, you know, I just decided that, okay, I'm going to call off my marriage. And I did tell my husband then that I wasn't in love with him and I wanted it over and stuff like that. But he couldn't understand how it went wrong. But then I told him that from time, I haven't been happy, and I've always told you that, because what he does is he works, work. He feels that, oh, he has to work to provide, but then he wasn't there. Yeah.
And did you think that calling off that marriage or breaking off the marriage would eventually mean you would be happy with that other person? Is that what you thought?
Yeah,
did
that's
that
what
happen?
I thought. No.
What happened?
Eventually, somebody, a family friend, found out about the church, and then told me about it. So I came to the church, and the worst thing is, I actually came with the person I was committing adultery with, thinking that, you know, we would get married.
So you came with that person that you were committing adultery with to the church, thinking, oh, we're gonna get married. Did you feel guilty then?
Not really, but as I listened to the preaching, then I realized that what I was doing was wrong.
But did anyone ever judge you or made you feel guilty or said you shouldn't be here because you're doing something like that? I mean, were you ever made to feel like that?
No, not at all. Not
Okay.
at all. Because even the assistants there would sit down, I would tell her everything, and she wouldn't judge me because she knew, obviously, I was confused.
But the truth is, Monsurat, you, from what you're saying, your story, your history of relationships were never happy.
No.
Right? The first one, you got pregnant, but then you had to have an abortion. Then the second marriage, or actually the first marriage, it's like you stumbled onto that marriage. Then the relationship with this other person who also was married. I mean, things were a mess.
A big mess.
You were telling me before we started tonight that you felt like the black sheep of the family. Why was that?
Because there was 6 of us, and 5 girls, 1 boy. And obviously back then, it's like always the boy, you know, the parents want the boy, and it took them a while to get a boy. But I found out that my dad showed favoritism to my senior sister, so I felt like the black sheep. I felt like I used to dress like a boy. They always say to my mom, "Oh, we saw your boy." Mom's like, "I don't have a boy, she's a girl." I don't wear skirts, it's always shorts. I had my hair cut really short.
Why?
I don't know, maybe I was like trying to get my dad's attention. I don't know. I don't know.
Now, I just want to say something here. You know, I usually work with a lot of couples. And if you're married, I just want to say something very important that you touched on. You know, if you're a man, it's very important that a man, it's not that a man has to provide, because nowadays the woman works as well, right? A woman no longer needs a man to survive. Many years ago, she would, not anymore. But the man feels that he has a need to provide. That's a natural thing for men. You can't remove this from a man. And actually it's a good quality to have. If a man doesn't have this quality of wanting to provide for his family, there's something wrong with him. And if you're a woman and you see a man like this, you should run a mile and then run another mile just in case, right? So it's a good quality to have. But what a lot of men do in their relationships is that they try to compensate what they don't do emotionally for their family with money on the table. And although you providing is important, for your family you are much more than that. So you that are a dad, a husband, bear that in mind. Your presence there, you being there for your family, is a lot more important than the money you put on the table. James, are you telling me that I shouldn't be working? No, of course, you need to. But then, of course, more important than the financial provision is your emotional presence, you being there, you understanding the problems that your family are going through. Because although what you did was wrong, that's what led you to go and do that. But it was still wrong. Regardless of what he was doing, it was wrong, right? You realize that now?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. But you're going to hear how Monsurat changed her life story. But by the way, today we're talking about what is your life's purpose. What did you think your purpose in life was at that time?
There was a time that I just wanted to give up on life because I wasn't happy. It's like one relationship to the next, and I wasn't happy. I didn't feel loved. So there was a time that, yes, I wanted to give up. But then something that kept me going was my daughter, because she was only a year and a half, and I'm thinking I have to be there for her. Yeah.
You know, Monsurat, there are people watching us now who sympathize with you. There's others who hated you when you said what you did. And I'm being very honest. Not that you are like that. And you're going to see that Monsurat is a completely different person now. But women who've been on the receiving end of betrayal, they have a lot of resentment for women who would do what you did. But then, at that time, you didn't know any better. I mean, you had judgment to know that what you were doing is wrong, but you didn't have the moral compass of faith, which you now have. But you're going to see how Monsurat, through the power of faith, managed to change her life. We're going to go into a break, and we'll be right back.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Finding Answers. Today we're talking about your life's purpose and we're just trying to get down to the nitty-gritty of what we think we should be doing with our lives. Now Monsurat has been sharing her story with us and I have a question for you. You mentioned your daughter and you said you felt bad or you felt like she was some sort of light for you to get you through.
Yeah.
Did you have anybody else as well? Did you feel that you had a support network, your family, or was it a secret that you were seeing another man?
No, actually I did have a nice close relationship with my mom, and I did tell her what I was going through. Obviously she was worried because actually my dad had a similar situation as well, because he had not just my mom, he had 2 other women as well. So
really?
She was like, oh my gosh, is it what happened with your dad that is happening with you? Obviously she was disappointed about it, but as a mother she was there to support me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And my other question was, you said you dressed kind of like a boy, or you tried to replicate a boy. And was that, do you think that was to get your dad's attention because of?
Probably, yeah, because back then, like a boy was the main, you know, that's what they always looked for. So probably, yeah, it might be.
It's quite hard, isn't it, to compete with like the opposite sex in terms of like actually, and that actually came through physically for you. You wanted, that's very interesting. We have a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, and Eleanor says, "The purpose of life is to live it, to taste and experience it to the utmost, to reach out eagerly without fear for newer and richer experiences."
And she forgot a little bit there, which is, and to find God. Very important, most important thing, right?
Right.
Monsurat, you came to the church, right, with that man that you thought was going to be your man.
Yeah.
When did you see you needed to change? Because that wasn't right.
I was attending the services, especially Friday, and when I come, obviously the pastor was speaking, and I was like, how does he know my life? I didn't even speak to him about it. But then when he was speaking, things that he was saying, I could relate to. And then, you know, the penny finally dropped that it's not going to work. It's not going to work. And he decided to go back to his wife anyway. So I was actually left alone. So then that's when I started like, you know, I need to fix myself. I need to change my situation.
So you needed to deal with the issues you had, right, before you could even think of a relationship, right? Now, after being for some time in the church, you had dealt with those issues. I know there was a campaign of Israel that came up, and you did it for your love life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so now I'm well inside, you know, I'm happy about myself, I'm confident, and I'm like, the next thing is to sort out my love life. So there was a campaign.
Sorry, at this time you were already divorced from that other person?
I didn't divorce because I said, if it's not the will of God, because obviously he didn't trust me, which I can understand that, because I wanted to go back. But then I was thinking, I don't really love him, but I wanted to go back because of my daughter. Then I spoke to a pastor and he said, you don't stay in a relationship because of your children or your child. You stay in a relationship because you love that person. And I did actually make a campaign of Israel for that, and he actually came with the paper for divorce and everything.
So he came and asked you for a divorce?
Yeah.
Because that relationship was a mess, right? Okay, so that relationship ended.
Everything ended.
Now you were with a clean slate.
Yes.
You had changed, you became a new person with different standards. It's very important to say this, because we're not saying that everything she said is okay, or it's just forget about it. You changed, you became a different person, right?
Yeah.
And now you were fighting for a relationship that was different from all the other relationships.
Yes.
One that was from God.
Yes.
So the campaign of Israel came, you presented your sacrifice. What was your request? What did you want?
I said to God, I want a man of God.
Not just any man.
Not just any man, a man of God, and a man that would love me and also love my daughter, because it's not just me now. And I can't just focus on myself, because she has to be loved as well. And he has to be, most importantly, a man of God, because obviously with my past, he's only a man of God that would understand that I have changed. I'm not the same person anymore. So yeah, that's my request.
Did you see that man around?
I did. I saw the man.
But what I want you to do,
Yes.
because your story is very interesting, I want you to tell people, after you took part of the campaign of Israel, a lot of people say, I took part of the campaign of Israel, I made my sacrifice, my request, now I'm going to wait. But you didn't do that. What did you do to get God's attention even after presenting your sacrifice?
Okay, there was someone I liked in the church, but he wasn't seeing me that way. It was like, I just see you as a friend, as a sister. So, but then I liked him. I developed feelings for him. But then after the sacrifice, what I did was to show God that I really, truly believed in what I did. I went into a bridal shop and I went to buy my wedding dress, even though there wasn't a man physically there.
What if you had to put on weight after that? You couldn't wear
I
it
did
anymore.
actually.
You did?
Yes.
So you went to buy a wedding dress,
Yeah.
even though there was no one in the picture. Why did you do that?
Because I believed in what I did. I believed, I had that confidence, I had that assurance inside of me that, no, I am going to get married.
So it was like a step of faith.
Yeah.
Whether I have someone or not, I'm going to do this because I know I'm going to have this person.
Yeah.
Right?
So I had this folder. I planned how the church decoration was going to look like, the reception, everything, the color scheme, everything. So I went to the bridal shop, found the dress I liked, tried it on, and the ladies were like, "Oh wow, he must be a lucky man." I'm thinking, little do you know
that this man doesn't exist yet.
No,
I don't know who he
and
is
like, oh, where is going to be your honeymoon? I'm like, Rome. What date? Obviously, if you're buying a dress, you should have a date. I was like, oh, July. I didn't even have no date. But then I got the dress. Everything went for the first, second, and third fitting. Everything, and I got the dress, put it in my wardrobe, and I said, my God, I've done my part. You have to do your part now. And he did.
So what happened?
It did, because the person that I liked, I had the confidence, the boldness to say to him, look, we've been at this for almost 4 years now, but it's like, you're not sure about me and stuff like that. But then I found out that he did his own sacrifice as well. And then he started liking me. And obviously I had to present myself also, because sometimes you're so bugged with your problem that you forget about your physical appearance. But then I started looking after myself as well, and he started seeing the beauty in me. And then
the inner beauty and
the outer beauty. And then he had a very good relationship with my daughter. They used to play, he takes her to the park, and I'm like, this is what I'm asking God for. But eventually, a year after, we got married, and I had to lose weight to get into the dress.
But you got married in July?
Yeah, on
like
my birthday.
You said to that person,
yeah.
And you went on your honeymoon to Rome, like you said to that person.
Yes, I did.
And you guys have been married for how long?
9 years on Wednesday.
9 years on Wednesday.
Yeah.
So how is married life now?
Oh, it's very nice, because now I'm with someone that loves me. I'm not married to him because I felt like I had to do him a favor or to help him out. No. And he is a man of God.
And he's a man of faith.
Yes.
Right? He's sitting behind the camera. He can hear everything that we're saying. He's laughing to us now. But, you know, this is what the power of God can do. You became not only a different person, because you really changed, Monsurat. You changed from inside out. Yes. That's what I wanted people to understand. You are not a woman now who would even consider doing half the things you did, right? That woman is dead. Yes. Is gone. You are now a new person, new standards, new morals, new principles. Even when you said, and I want to make this clear, when you said that for 4 years you were talking to this person who is now your husband and telling him, you know, maybe this could work, and he only saw you as a sister, and so on. Even then, you did things right. You didn't do things wrong. You didn't jump into bed with him, right? No. You wanted to do things differently this time. Yes. And you wanted to make him respect you, and that worked. Your sacrifice with your faith worked. A lot of people who are listening to your story now, and they hear that you went to buy your dress, even before this man said he liked you, they probably think that you were mad, but it worked. Yes. Right? Yes. That's great. So thank you for sharing your story with us. And you're not going to go anywhere because you're going to be in the prayer with us. And I want to invite you to stay there where you are, because after the break, you just heard Monsurat talking about the campaign of Israel, and now we're going to have the campaign of all campaigns. And I want to invite you for you to stay there where you are, because when we come back from the break, one of our pastors, Pastor Roland, will be here with us. He'll be telling us about the campaign of Israel. We'll be right back.
The greatest campaign of faith of all time.
Senhor nosso Deus, passaremos uma madrugada inteira clamando.
E é por isso que nós estamos aqui.
Ó Deus da riqueza, ó Deus da sabedoria,
para dissipar as obras das trevas que lhes atingem.
Responda,
e nós te pedimos, consagra, meu Deus.
Nós profetizamos e determinamos que se tem que sacrificar tudo. To see things that we have never seen before.
Why is this the greatest campaign? Because it will take place in the Temple of Solomon. Take a look at this promise. Now my eyes will be open and my ears attentive to prayer made in this place. For the first time ever, bishops from all over the world, together with Bishop Macedo, and pastors from all over the world, will be united in one faith and one spirit on the greatest altar of God here on earth. Mexico, Bishop Paulo. Portugal, Bishop Julio. USA, Bishop Romaldo. South Africa, Bishop Marcelo Perez. England, Bishop Junior. The greatest campaign of faith of all time. At the Temple of Solomon.
Well, good evening and welcome back to Finding Answers. If you need a decision in life, you have this opportunity that we are offering you now to change. There is things in life that sometimes does not change by itself. And you are there waiting for things to get better. But things doesn't move. And perhaps you realize that time is passing by and the entire year you are battling on the same subject. Perhaps more than a year. Perhaps for the last 10 years. You want to get married. You want to change your financial life. You want to see results in your life. Here is how things can change. This is an opportunity and a privilege. You know, James, it's a privilege to participate in the campaign of Israel, in the greatest of all campaigns. Mm-hmm. Because as soon as the temple is open, people will be presenting these requests, the dreams that is inside of them to God, to see God in their lives. And there are many people that want to see a change. They want to see the change in their life, but they don't know what to do anymore. There are people that are so desperate, like the case of Monsurat. She did not know what to do. But when she learned about faith, things got clear for her. Even, you said, others listening to her story would consider that craziness, what she had done. But she did. And here's the result, is the proof that it works. Yeah. Our God answers.
And you know, the campaign is all or nothing. All or nothing. Why? Because God is a God of all or nothing. When God wanted to do like the master stroke of changing humanity, He didn't give an angel for us. He didn't give 10,000 angels. He gave His Son. He only had one Son. He gave His Son. That was all of God to change your life. That's why the campaign is all, is everything. You know, a person can be in the most dire situation in life. But if she's ready to go all into this, God, it's like we were saying on Sunday in the church, we were saying, when we act here on earth, God reacts on heaven.
Yes, it's true. We don't know the size of your problem. We don't know how long this problem is there in your life. We don't know your life at all. But why do we speak with this confidence? Because we know God. And we know that He can change your situation. Things can change your life. And your situation will be different after this campaign. If you send this request of yours to the Temple of Solomon, you'll be able to see the glory of God, because that is exactly what Solomon did. He acted first. Nobody told him to do. And you're having the privilege of listening to us, teaching you what to do, as James was saying, all in, with all your strength. And Solomon did so. And he saw the glory of God in his life.
You want to see something interesting? Look at this. Look how this is amazing. I was listening to Monsurat's story, and actually I know her story. But let me tell you something. Some years earlier, in 1999, there was a girl in Portugal, in our church. You, Monsurat, you were in England, right? But this was a few years later. 1999, a few years earlier, there was a girl in Portugal, a young girl, who took part of the campaign of Israel and sacrificed also, like her. And although Monsurat and this girl never met, look what this girl did. She also went and bought her dress because she wanted to get married. And that was also a step of faith for her. My God, I don't know who my groom is going to be, but I'm going to buy my dress. These two people never met, this girl and Monsurat, but she did the same. Because when you sacrifice, the faith is the same. And I know about this girl because this girl is my wife. Right? I know about her because she's my wife. She did the same thing. But how could these people who never met each other do the same crazy thing? Because when you sacrifice, my dear friend, the assurance of your victory is so great that you know, no one needs to tell you what to do. You're going to go ahead and do it. You remember the woman who came to Jesus and she not the woman, was it the blind man who said, Jesus, son of David, have
the
mercy on me. And everybody was saying, shut up. The disciples said, well, shut up, you're making too much noise. But when you're sure that the miracle is coming, nobody can shut you up. That's what Monsurat did. That's what my wife did. That's what those who use their faith, that's what they do.
And what do you want? Do you have a dream inside of you that you want to see happening? What do you want in your life? Because this is the opportunity of your life to change everything. It's time for a decision. Actually, it's time for a step. And if you want to know more, 020-7686-6300. 020-7686-6300. Call us because you will know more on what you need to do to see your dream coming to pass.
Please, can you, I'm here with Monsurat. Can you open the shot in the camera for us to see the Temple of Solomon here behind us? Come here, Monsurat, please. Look at that. That's where your request is going to go. I don't know if you can get a good view of that. Look at that. Monsurat, your request, are you in this campaign?
Oh, sure. Yes.
Your request is there. By the way, are you going to the temple?
No.
Not this time,
Not this
next
time.
But your request is going there. Your sacrifice is what gives you the assurance to say my life has to change. I'm going to do whatever it takes for my life to change. That's what your sacrifice does for you. A request without the sacrifice is something you forget tomorrow. It's like a postcard. You know, you get a postcard, you later forget who sent you the postcard, what the postcard was about. But when there's a sacrifice, you never ever forget what you did because you don't do a sacrifice every day. Now, the thing is, Monsurat, let's walk over here. The thing is, we've run out of time for the prayer. But I want to do one thing before we go. Please, Pastor, join us. Bring the envelope there. This envelope here is where many are preparing now the request for this campaign. The request, the sacrifice. And I'm not going to pray. I'm going to determine. We are going to determine together here that you that are in this faith, the God who changed Monsurat's life is going to change your life if you believe. The God that changed the life of every person, every single person that is with us in this show is going to change your life. Some people say, I don't believe in the stories they bring there. They must pay those people. It's a hell of a lot of people to pay, right? A lot of people to pay every day. So we don't have a budget for that, trust me. We don't have a budget for that at all. But that's why the people that are here are talking about real experiences, and you can experience the same. So in the name of the Lord Jesus, we stretch our hands to this camera and we determine that you that have this faith to change your life, you that are determined that your life can get better, and you are going to use this campaign to change your life, God is going to surprise you with the extraordinary. You that are doing the extraordinary, He will surprise you with the extraordinary. That's what we determined. We are going to be presenting our sacrifices, our requests this Sunday, the 13th at 10 a.m. in all the UCKGs all over the country. And it's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing, amazing. And I believe that your life is going to change. Okay? We'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful night. May God bless you.